even though they're buying real estate, what they're really buying is that stream of rental income. I'm Collin Hart.
And I'm Blake Bratcher. And together we'll break down the strategies and structures behind what it takes to make a successful ambulatory surgery center.
If you're serious about healthcare, you won't want to miss this. In part one, we'll discuss key lease terms to enhance and preserve the value of your ASC real estate. So Blake, when you're buying or building a surgery center, what are the most important lease points to you?
I think the top lease points are, one, is it triple net, right, where the tenant pays all the operating expenses, taxes, and insurance. Second being term, third being are the rents within market, and then the fourth being annual escalations for the rent.
So let's talk about triple net a little bit. Let's break that down, because in working with a lot of our clients, our physician clients, they tell us that they have a triple net lease, but when we really get into the nitty-gritty details, it's not as clear in terms of what costs they're responsible for. So you said a triple net lease means that the tenant's responsible for operating costs, taxes, and insurance. But let's dig into the operating costs a little bit more. I would define that as building maintenance, repairs, and replacements. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
And so as a landlord, certainly you guys offer property management services, but if a lease is triple net, in effect, even if you're doing the work as the landlord, the tenant is probably responsible for the actual cost. Is that correct?
That's right.
And so that language is really important and has to be drafted not only with the help of an attorney, but probably somebody who knows the business side of leases, whether it be Flagship as your landlord or a future landlord or even just a real estate advisor.
Yes, and that goes back to building with an exit in mind, right? Even though the alignment in those may be the same at some point, if you do sell the building, that lease is what governs and will govern into the future. So you want to be clear on whose responsibilities it is, who's paying for that. One issue we often see is in surgery centers is HVAC, and nobody knows whose responsibility. It's not real clear. Well, put it in there, get it in there, right? And just identify it square on, and so everybody's on the same page. And when you go to sell it, the buyer can underwrite that appropriately.
Right. And what I always say to our clients is, hey, it might be triple net, but the specific words really matter.
Absolutely.
So in addition to that, let's talk about lease term. What's your preference on lease term if you had everything you wished for?
Yeah, I think it depends on how the practice or the ASC group is constructed, but we would like to see between 10 and 15 years of term.
Great. And then from a rental increase perspective, what do you see as typical or average rental increases in a lease that you guys structure?
I think now the market is calling for 3% to keep up with inflation.
Perfect. And I agree with that. I have seen anywhere from 1% escalations to CPI, right? So it kind of varies in there, and obviously that'll play into the long-term value of your building.
And Collin, I mean, you know what's important to Flagship because I've just said what it is, but as far as the market goes, other buyers, are those terms important to other buyers in the market?
So the lease terms that we've outlined are really a market standard. And I would say that those apply to any investor who's buying surgery center real estate. And the main reason is because even though they're buying real estate, what they're really buying is that stream of rental income. And so the surety that they have and ability to calculate that stream of rental income makes it more valuable. So the triple net provision of a lease really dictates who is responsible for what costs. And that allows a landlord to really predict what their rental income is going to be every month or year. So I would say whether it's Flagship or any other buyer of ASC real estate, those lease terms are going to be really important.